Showtime! Welcome to the show. I'm Brent Holland, and welcome one and all to Night Fright. I was just looking out the studio window, and I'm looking at a deep, thick fog that's settling over the land. And I live in a place called Kingston. Picture London, England in the late 1800s, and you'll get a pretty good idea of the limestone buildings that are right around the area in Kingston, and that's when Kingston was primarily built. Kingston, Canada, I'm talking about. Tonight, folks, get the lights on right away. I'm going to warn you right now, get the tea going, get the coffee going, or a beverage of your choice. Ghosts all night with a real live ghost hunting team out of the Peterborough, Ontario area and the Ottawa, Ontario area. And many of you will know these guys because I've had Scott Macdonald on the show before. They're called MIA, but joining us tonight is also going to be Jason Macdonald. And I'm looking forward very much to speaking with them. Scott, are you there, my friend?
I am, Brent.
Good. I seem to have lost Jason. Jason, are you there?
I think so.
Okay. There we go. Okay, well, we'll get it together, guys. Let's jump in right away. I want to go to Ottawa and talk about the EVPs you caught on tape at the jail there. And could you set up the jail, a little bit of its history?
Yes. So the jail, it was used in the 1800s, and it's now a youth hospital. However, back in the day, it was, I believe, Canada's last hanging, and that was 1850, I'm not sure, 1850s. And we were there. It was, you could feel the presence. It was heavy. It was thick. You could really feel the energy. And while I was there, I picked up a couple of really, really strong EVPs. We have them on our blog. I'll probably play a few tonight. I've got another one really lined up to go in a bit, so I don't want to mess with that one because this other one is really cool. However, I'll describe this one. We were in Death Row. It was the last place where there was a hanging, and I asked what its name was, and the response we had was a clear Paul. And then it paused, and then it said stranger. So it said Paul, stranger. And it was so clear. And then the next one we had, I asked if it was chicken, kind of a little bit of trying to provoke it, a little bit of a strategy we use when we're out in the field.
Now listen, you actually provoke these things?
Yeah.
Aren't you afraid they're going to come home with you?
Yeah, that's a risk.
That's a risk, and you laugh. Buddy, I've had this discussion before with you. I'd be the first one to go and buy them a cup of coffee, send them a pizza, but get out of there, buddy. Run.
Yeah, the one in Ottawa simply said, it answered really abruptly, and it said, why? Then it said, no.
Any idea what it was alluding to?
It was telling me it wasn't chicken. It was asking me, why you asked me that? And then it said, no.
Jason, were you there when that was happening?
I missed that one, but I reviewed all the evidence, so it was pretty cool.
I am. Brent, I've got to tell you, we were in, I'll tell you, a more active place in the Ottawa jail. In this place.
Actually, Scott, could I get you to turn off your camera? I'll tell you why. It's bandwidth for Skype. And we'll be taking calls later, and it's going to take up too much bandwidth. There you go. Thank you, my friend.
No problem. So let me tell you about this other place. We're just under a year ago. It was on the border of Ontario, Canada, and Buffalo, New York.
Right.
Old fort named Fort Erie. That, my friend, we had the best EVP hits we've ever had, and I'm going to play a few of them in a sec. So the first one, and I kind of dropped, hope that, maybe you can beat this out because it caught me by surprise. I was very startled. I dropped a bit of an F-bomb because it brushed me. It pushed me, and I was freaked out because I got pushed in the back.
Yeah, don't worry about the F-bomb. We'll take care of that in post-production after. But for now, don't worry about it. I don't think it's going to be a problem, given the context that, if an invisible something touched me or pushed me, I'd be inclined to drop an F-bomb or two as well. So not to worry. I might be inclined to drop something else, but and have to clean up after.
But I'm usually used to that. But this one, just because it was dark, it was in an old military cell. It was very dark. It was dusk. The sun had gone down, so it was kind of freaked me out. It took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting that because we were just going around the corner. It was musty, and I just got shoved.
No.
And then I said, "What the F is that?" I didn't short, and it replied, and I'm going to play that in a sec. Okay. It actually replied, "It's a ghost."
Oh my God! And you still stayed there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, we sure did.
Reasons why you do this stuff in a second, folks. We're speaking with two much braver than me. I'll tell you that, fellows. They're part of MIA, which is a ghost hunting group out of Peterborough/Ottawa, Ontario, and we're about to play Scott Macdonald and Jason Macdonald, two brothers. Scott Macdonald, both investigators, is about to play some EVPs from this fort called Fort Erie. And this fort, folks, just to set it up, it's a fort that was used in the War of 1812, of course, and it goes back a couple of hundred years, therefore. Is there anything else, Jason, you want to add to this scenario?
Oh, for this story? Oh, no. It was pretty much as you're going to hear it unfold, so it's interesting. So.
Okay,
Scott, anytime you're ready, my friend.
Okay, so it'll play, and then you'll hear the EVP. It loops a few times just so you can get a better experience of listening to it. And then I'll pause it, and then I'll go into I'll tell the story of the next one. So let me play this one. What the fuck was that? What was that? Did you hear that?
Absolutely. Oh my God. So no wonder you used to drop the F-bomb.
Yeah, I got shot right from behind, and I was freaked out. It almost threw me down the stairs.
Oh, so it just pushed you on the shoulders? Did it try to trip you? Or?
Yeah, and it freaked me out.
Now, what part of the fort were you in? Were you, I don't know, was it a dungeon at one point or somewhere where people might have gone through adverse...
No, we were in the military. We were in the officers' barracks, and as a matter of fact, I told them just a couple seconds before that I was going to live in. I was going to overtake that area, and I was private, and I didn't like the officers, and that's what led up to this.
Holy shoot! And here you are, a good beer-drinking Canadian, and you got this thing pushing you around. What do you do in a situation like that, Jason? Can you push back? Is there anything to push back against?
No, there's nothing really to push back against. We just try to talk with the entity, make contact, and I can hear them live time. So these EVPs, as it's happening, I hear with my own ears. I can go into detail about that later, but
go ahead now if you want, because if you hear them in lifetime, are you able to warn perhaps Scott that he's about to be pushed, or because there's a little bit of sibling rivalry, you didn't want to warn him? I'm teasing you.
I've got a good story for that one. It was our first case we ever did, and it was a private residence in Peterborough. And Scott was very much a skeptic at the time, and he came along because he wanted to say, you know what, this is all bull. And it's fake. So he was doing the film work in camera, and we were down in a basement, and I was hearing an entity telling him to leave. It was like, leave. I was like, Scott, you got to go. This thing's not happy with you. And Scott said, oh, well, I just want to get a couple more pictures. Just hold on. And then I heard leave. And then the next thing you know, the camera and flashlight gets knocked out of his hands. And you hear Scott drop the F-bomb again and run up the stairs. It was pretty fantastic.
And that, I'm sure, sold you, didn't it, Scott? That there was something else beyond. Still with me, Scott?
Yes, I am. And that was the first time the first time in my life that I realized that paranormal and ghosts, they exist. Because up to that point in my life, I was, 38 years at that point, I didn't believe it.
Despite your brother telling you to the contrary, right?
That's it, yeah.
That's it. So, Scott, I have to ask you this because we've discussed this before once again, and that show, folks, is in www.nightfrightshow.com archives. I have to ask you this, Scott. What in the name of God possessed you, and no pun intended, to go back and continue with these hunts? What were you looking for what were you trying to get out of all of this?
I wanted more proof. I wanted more, well, what are they like? How far can we take this? And that's what really drove me, the curiosity factor.
How about yourself, Jason? What got you involved in wanting to reach out and touch the other side, so to speak?
No, started for me back with dreams and such.
Let's go there.
Probably going back about 8 years ago. I was at my wife's aunt's house. It was around Thanksgiving time, and I had a very strange dream that a childhood friend crossed. I was asleep at the time. Had a dream that a childhood friend crossed the doorway of the room where I was sleeping, and then I saw the door slam shut. So in my dream, I got up and walked over to the door, and I couldn't open the door for however hard I tried. And then the next day, I when I woke up, I remembered my dream, and I told people about it. And anyway, it turned out that this was a childhood friend that I hadn't seen in 20 years who died that same night. And his car went over a bridge, and he got trapped in his car, and he drowned. So I that was the first dream that I had that a spirit reached out to me in a dream state. After that, I had a shared dream with my mother, which was strange. It was around Christmas time, and it was a dream. I saw myself in a big pool of water, almost like a gladiator scene, and I saw this big guy that looked like The Rock. Okay, and he had a sword. He was raising it up, and I knew he was going to slice me with it. And I braced for impact, and all of a sudden I saw an axe come down right in the middle of his head, and he fell down dead. And I thought, wow, that was a weird dream. So I told my buddy at work about it, and he's like, that's strange. So when I traveled back to Ottawa for Christmas, my dad told me Christmas Eve, he comes up to me and says, son, I said, yeah. He goes, do you know your mother would kill for you? I said, okay, Dad, whatever. I believe that. And then he goes, no, she would. And I said, okay, whatever. And then he goes, 2 nights ago, your mother sat up in a cold sweat, and she was so stricken with fear. And he started to tell me the same dream that I saw that she witnessed. So she was the person who smucked the axe in the guy's head. And
oh, my God.
And we compared details, and so we had a shared dream there, which for some reason I've been having strange dreams.
Now, how old were you, Jason?
Oh, when he saw us, probably around 30 years old.
Oh, so you were an adult then. You weren't just like a little kid having a nightmare rolling over or something. Oh, my God.
No. So the dreams continued, and I started having very historically correct and accurate dreams, which I shouldn't have known any details about these things. So my dad suggested that I should go and have a past life regression. So I went and I saw a hypnotherapist, and we had a past life regression. And she put me under, and I explained details about several past lives that I had. And then she brought me back, and she said that I went under so easily and had so much recall. And she said I'd be an excellent candidate for an LBL, which is a life between lives regression. And we did that a couple months later.
So what is the difference between that and a past life hypnotist taking you into a past life regression. What's the difference between the two? Can you tell the folks what that is, Jason?
Oh, excellent. Yes. So past life regression is where they regress you to a different life in which you lived on Earth. And the life between lives regression is the life that you live in between your lives. And some people say that that's where we really are, and we just come here for short stints and visits and such, and to learn lessons and whatnot. But after my life between lives regression, Linda's told me that because of the hypnotherapy, she had opened up the gateways in my psyche, and strange things might happen. And lo and behold, I found myself in an old location, and I started hearing voices and such. And I thought that these were entities, and I started reaching out to them because I wanted to help them become unstuck and continue their spiritual growth. That's why I do it. So.
Whoa! So did they feel malevolent when you reached out to these entities?
A lot of them. I like to take the approach of the kind of softer side of things, and on the spiritual side, and Scott likes to provoke them. So
that mind boggles me. You know what I'm saying, Scott?
It absolutely mind boggles me.
I got one to play in a bit that will blow your mind away.
All right, let me set it up in just a second, folks. Don't go anywhere tonight. You know, as I said, I'm looking out the studio window right now. And I've turned the light off in order to see outside, of course, so I'm sitting in the dark here. There's a fog out there. Now, how weird is that? To begin with, there's a fog, nice big thick fog out there. It kind of looks like The Exorcist with the street lights and stuff. And it's cool. You know, it's less springy and it's more folly, if you will. It's almost like a Halloween night. And it's a creepy night. If you're just joining us, settle in. Get the comforter out, though, right away. Don't mess around. And we're talking about ghosts tonight with a real live ghost hunting group out of Peterborough/Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. They're called MIA. And, of course, as always, folks, with every guest on our show and every guest on our show, www.nightfrightshow.com. www.nightfrightshow.com. Just go there. All their contact information will be there. And just click on that contact information. It'll take you right to their website, their blog. They're on Facebook as well. And they do all this stuff for free. They put their EVPs up. If they catch some kind of phenomena that's out of the ordinary, they put that up on video as well. These guys are top-notch. Second time I've had them on the show, and they're great. Jason Macdonald and his brother. Who's older, by the way, Scott? Jason? You?
I am.
You are. Oh, I am. Okay, Scott, that's Scott. So, folks, don't go anywhere. Get the coffee going. Get the tea going. Get a beverage of your choice going. Settle in. Get comfy. We're going to take you on a ghost hunting tour for the next hour and a half. And get ready to have the bejesus scared out of you, because I'm telling you, folks, this is the real deal. You can find the proof for this stuff right on their blog. I'm going to go back to Scott now, and Scott's going to play us another EVP. Scott, can you tell us essentially what an EVP is? There may be some folks out there that aren't familiar with that term.
Yes, it stands for electronical voice phenomenon, and it's really you ask questions in these locations. Nobody's around. Maybe you're with one or two other people, part of your team. Everybody shuts up. It's dark. And really, you know, we don't count bangs and random noises as EVPs. We count intelligent responses, something that answers our question. So it can rule out noise pollution. It can rule out cell tower pollution, or a trucker maybe driving by, or anything that a skeptic would say. And what I'm about to play you will blow your mind away. To us, it is the cream of the crop, the best EVP we've ever gotten. It proves beyond a reasonable doubt that consciousness is separate from the brain, that there is a consciousness of an old soldier still roaming, or probably many consciousness of old soldiers still roaming Fort Erie. and we asked, where are you from? And we picked up the best EVP that we ever picked up. It checked out historically with the records of Fort Erie, and the response was 14th Regiment Frenchmen. And we didn't know what that referred to, Frenchmen. And we were kind of confused. It said 14th Regiment Frenchmen. And then we discovered in the War of 1812, around Fort Erie, there was a battle of Frenchman's Creek. And
oh my God, buddy!
Yeah,
goosebump factor.
And the 14th Regiment was involved with that fight. So let me play that. It's going to blow your mind away.
I better not drop.
There you go.
Holy moly. Now, he sounds like he would be a young lad, maybe the first time in battle.
That's what we figured.
Yeah, because he sounds like a kid, doesn't he? He sounds like he'd be just just going through puberty or just past puberty. And, that's the tragic part, isn't it? Because people go to Gettysburg all the time and they find EVPs, and wherever there's a lot of young people that die very quickly that weren't supposed to die, in my mind, you always find this lingering energy. Now, is it a loop? I've heard this phraseology, if you will, used. Some people say it's a loop of energy.
Oh, that they're referring to is residual, and the residual is not intelligent. So because this answered our question, it's deemed intelligent. It directly answered us as our question. So it wasn't just a pattern of lights appearing and then maybe 8 o'clock every midnight or something, a light appears and it floats through, and that's sort of residual. Whereas this is intelligent. It knew we were there and it answered us.
Now, do you think it would be cognizant that it has passed on, that it is dead? Or do you think it's just actually just talking to you as if you were right there with him, beside him, and he would still be alive?
I believe that's the case. Because on the other side, we have to remember that a lot of people that come back with NDEs and that have visited the other side and have come back to talk to us about it, they say that time does not exist. So although on the Earth plane it might be 200 years, to them it might be, I don't know.
2 hours.
2 hours, right?
Yeah. Right, sure. I guess it would be if time doesn't exist. There'd be no reference point. Jason, when you heard this, did you hear it in real time? Were you there?
I was there, and I didn't hear this one real time, but I sometimes I will hear the murmuring, so I hear like a whisper or a murmur, and that's a cue for us to go back over the tapes in that section. So
now that you've found this poor dead soldier, I don't know what else to call him, do you help him go to the light? Is that proper phraseology again, or is that kind of, am I just being stereotypical there?
Sometimes we do, and when they're asking for help, we'll send them. But sometimes we don't hear him until after the fact, right? So after we're sitting back and reviewing the evidence. So. Okay.
Now, how long ago was this EVP? When did you take it?
About a year ago today, actually, or round about. Yeah.
Wow. Son of a gun. Now, what leads you to go to a certain area? Now, I suspect in this particular case, it's because, there was a lot of young people dying very quickly. But what makes you go to, say, I don't know, I know you've been to several theaters around the area as well. What makes you go to a theater in search of some kind of entity?
We generally think that theaters in general attract a lot of positive energy, and people like to attend the theater in life, and I think they like to hang out there after they pass over. So we found quite a bit of compelling evidence in several theaters that we've investigated.
Scott, I'm going to ask you a little favor, just a technicality. We're getting a little bit of feedback. Could you turn your computer down a little bit? I don't mean your microphone, just your speakers.
There you go.
Thanks, buddy. Can we talk about that theater? I think it was in Peterborough, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And we actually returned to the Peterborough Theater since we've been back, and I've got some great EVPs. So in our blog and our site, we titled this MI Paranormal Returns to Theater Guild. So this one, the first one I'm going to play you, is we always assumed the entity was named Chappie.
Yes.
And we talked about that. And here we got an EVP, and it actually said we kept calling it Chappie, and the EVP said they think I'm Chappie. So it was referring to the fact that we were calling it Chappie, and it was making reference to the fact that we were calling it Chappie, and obviously it's not Chappie.
It's not. Now, you see, last time Scott was on the show, folks, they had freshly just gone to this theater in Peterborough, and they had picked up this entity, I guess, EVPs and stuff, and he seemed to be a friendly ghost at the time. Isn't that funny? His name's not Casper, though, guys. But he seemed to be very amicable and kind of like he was looking over the theater and keeping everybody safe and stuff. Was he still very much the same character this time around, Scott? It's funny to talk about a dead person like that, isn't it? Is he still the same guy?
No, I think there's multiple ghosts there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play you two. The first one was they think I'm Chappie, and the second one, well, I'm going to play that and let you see if you think it's friendly or not. So let me play this first one.
Okay. How old is the theater?
Jason?
Oh, boy.
Approximately.
Probably around about that, yeah.
Okay. And it seats, I think, from last time, if not mistaken, around 400 people?
Yeah.
Around, yeah.
And I suspect it's like the Grand Theater here in Kingston, folks, which is an old vaudeville theater. And I suspect this is probably the same. It was probably built in the same type of era. So you get the picture. It's a nice old theater. It's probably got rope flies and that type of thing. So without further ado, let's hear from Chappie.
Did you just whisper?
So that one, Jason heard. You could even hear Jason in the tape say, "Did you just whisper?"
That's right.
And he heard that in real time. And what the entity was, did you hear it, Brent, say, they think I'm Chappie?
Yes, absolutely. It's right there if you listen closely, folks. Now, again, Chappie is a ghost, folks, that I guess he was an elderly fellow. He used to probably work at the theater, from what I remember from last time. And people often say, and you guys could verify this for me, that once you pass on, often people will go back to the place they felt the happiest to spend eternity. And when you stop and think about it, that's not a bad thing. You know, if you know you're dead and you want to and you want to have a good time, you go back to the place you were the happiest. Now, you've said, I think you may have something that's not so happy to play us.
That's right. So this gets back into one of our techniques that we use. We play good cop, bad cop.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just to get a response, provoke a response. And we got a response in this one. And let me play this one.
Okay.
Let me just... Oh, sorry, this one's not the one. Let me just fast
That's
forward.
fine. You go ahead and cue it up. What I'll do is...
Here we got it.
Okay, he's got it. Stand by, folks.
You should get fired.
He didn't get fired. He's been doing a good job.
I don't think so. So you understood what was going on there, eh, Brent?
Yes, you were provoking him. I don't think you're doing a good job. What does he say in response?
Oh.
F you, but not F. So let me play that again. It said full F you. Listen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You picked that up, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Scott, did he push you or anything like that because you were the bad cop, obviously?
Actually, I do recall kind of saying that the air felt a little heavy that night.
Now, you know, guys, when you're out doing that, does the, you know, you see on the movies, the stereotypical thing that the temperature drops and all of a sudden people see their breath and stuff. Does it get to that extreme?
No, it gets, you feel a charge in the air, where the hairs in the back of your neck stand up, for sure.
And how about with you, Scott? Have you ever been in a place where you felt like really cold and you just couldn't get warm?
Yeah, you feel the air. You definitely feel a temperature change. In the Ottawa jail, I definitely felt that. It was summer, and it felt damp and cool, and it was unusually, the air was heavy.
Right.
That's like, if you think about going down into an old, wet cellar, but it shouldn't be that way where you are, and that's what it feels like.
You know, I want to talk to you guys about kids, too, because if there's anything that, and I've said this many, many times, folks, fans of this show will know, when I hear an EVP of a trapped kid, it just makes me crazy. And... Oh, Scott's got something as well.
We do have something, and now this sort of, as soon as you said that, it brought up my memory on this. So we were in a case, and we were at an old cottage by Belleville, Ontario, and we think we've come across, do you remember, Brent, do you remember the movie The Others?
Sure. When
it's a spirit family living?
That's right, yeah.
We think we found the real Others.
Oh, my God. Now, let me just tell you, folks, The Others is starring Tom Cruise's old wife, because I can see her face, but I can't.
Nicole Kidman.
Thank you very much. And there's this family living in an old Gothic type of mansion in Britain, and they don't realize that they're the ones that are dead and everybody else around them are the living. And they think the ones that are around them, I'm ruining the movie, but it's several years old, the living ones are the ghosts. So this is an actual family you feel is dead and they're living there and they don't realize that they've passed away.
Yeah, actually, this is the first investigation, Brent, that we did after our last appearance with you. So it was the first one we did. I think we had our interview in late November, early December, if memory serves.
Right.
And this was the following January, so it was about 6 weeks after. And this is going to blow your mind away. I believe it's the real Others. So what's happening here is we're in a room, old cottage, very, very, and they've had, you know, the claims there was they heard kids' voices. There was no kids around. They heard
lights get turns on and off.
Lights get turned on and off and everything. So we are there. We're doing our thing, and we picked up, and I'm going to play this for you, this accent of a little boy, and he says, "Daddy, do we know these people?" And this is going to blow your mind. Let me cue this EVP up.
Okay, and folks, we know that the Belleville, Ontario area is near Kingston. It was settled primarily by Scottish, Irish, and English immigrants. It would make perfect sense that this little boy, if he's from those times, would have an accent. Okay, go ahead.
He does have an accent. Listen to this.
Right over your left shoulder. Okay. I'm picking up a heartbeat. Isn't that weird?
You hear that, Brent?
Oh my God. Yeah, it is so evident, you know, and I know a lot of people out there right now are listening going, oh, come on, that's just the wind, or this is just the cat, or something like that. Let me tell you something, folks, and this scared the hell out of me because it had never happened to me before. On November 22nd, 2013, I was the only Canadian to be invited down to the JFK Memorial in Dallas to speak for Canada, and I'm very proud of that. But that's not what the story's about. The hotel I stayed at was called the Adolphus. This hotel dates back to the turn of the last century, 1902 or something like that. There was a tragedy that had taken place on the 19th floor. So, of course, me, being bored one night after the event's over, I go up to the 19th floor with my camera in tow, and I start asking questions, and I go, hello, is anybody here? I come back to Canada, I'm playing the tape back, and as soon as I say, hello, is anybody here, I hear, hello. That was it. I turned the tape off, and I never listened to it again. It scared the hell out of me, guys, because I never expected in my wildest dreams to catch anything.
Isn't that wild, eh?
Oh God! It wasn't malevolent. I didn't feel anything out of the ordinary. But my God, when I heard it, I really felt a lot of stuff, terror. So for you guys to be willing to do this week after week after week, to emerge in this stuff, I got to give you credit. Now, this little fella that just spoke, he seems content. He seems happy. Are they intruding on the people that are living in that particular house now?
They're not intruding per se. They are definitely making their presence known. I think more like practical jokes, so flip lights and on and off.
I see.
Claims where, you know, they would turn off the water tap, go to bed, and then all of a sudden they'd hear the water tap running again. Things like that. Do you remember anything more specifically, Jason?
Well, I think that they would see children coming up and down the stairs when they didn't have children that were coming up and down the stairs. So they would see them and stuff, so...
Now, when you say they saw them, now I'm always curious about this. You know, apparitions and things of that nature. Are they in? How do they look? Are they naked? Are they just a white glow, so to speak? Do they have the clothes on that they may have perished in?
The apparitions, we've gotten some really good face shots, and one of them, Jason's kid titled Santa Claus, it looked like a face, and you could see an outline of a face. You could see a beard. You could see eyes, and it was really, really clear. And so those are the type of shots we get. We haven't had a full body apparition yet, but we've definitely got face shots.
We've got Slimer as well.
Oh, yes.
Oh, go ahead. Tell us about that, Jason.
At the Theater Guild, we had, I was taking some shots of the catwalk, and you see a steam forming over one of the air vents, and then you see this green mass appear, and I call it Slimer. So,
jeez. Okay, let me ask you this then. With the slime and just in general, let's talk about the senses. Now, obviously, you can hear them, Jason, in real time, and then Scott's able to hear them afterwards via tape. Is there smells associated?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, can you tell us about those?
We were, at a different case, we were out back of an old retail store, and we asked for them to give us a sign, and all of a sudden an overwhelming smell of lilacs appeared, and they can just produce, I guess, their favorite smells. And when we were at Cornwall Jail, we smelt the smell of rotting flesh, which I think was just horrid. But anyway.
Hey, Brent, I just sent you a link. You can probably pull it up in real time and look at the pictures that Jason just talked about, Slimer. So it's multiple shots, and you see this thing kind of forward in 3 or 4 different shots. And
absolutely. I'm looking at it now, folks. Let me describe it. I'm looking at a shot of the rafters of a theater. And there is a ventilation tunnel, not a tunnel, a ventilation, not a shaft. I'm looking for the word. A series of ventilation
Ducts.
Ducts. Thank you for that. Like my mind ducked out there for a second. And above one of the ventilation shafts, there isn't. Well, you've all seen Ghostbusters. My God, this thing looks like a green slime Ghostbusters. It's the same shape. There's no distinctive face, I would say, on it, but it certainly is a lime green color without question.
And it's in different shots.
Yeah, it just doesn't appear in the single shot. I mean, there's multiple shots. Oh, that's creepy. And this thing smelled like lilacs.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Wow. How do you explain? People. I've had Michelle O'Shea on the show. And I've had other people on the show, a woman by the name of Christine Corda who's gone through a real Roman Catholic exorcism. And she always told me, both have told me when they're dealing with demons, and we're going to get into that in just a few seconds, I'm leading up to that, there's this horrible smell that smells like, well, somebody defecated, if you will, but much worse. Have you ever experienced anything like that or anything demonic that doesn't seem to have had roots in a human entity like that had passed on? Because they say demons are entities upon themselves, and this is what I'm terrified of.
Let me tell you one thing. We had
Sure.
we had a case book. It was in the it was Kentucky, I believe, and we saw it on an American channel. I think it was History Channel. And it was talking about Black Moon Manor, and there was gashes, and people went there, and they were getting gashed, and just like a wolf had scratched their leg, and I was really gung-ho to go, and I wanted to go, and Jason backed out because we thought the energy was too dark.
Wow. So you got a precognition that stay away, this is not good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you ever run into that accidentally, Jason?
Nothing dark yet, so...
Yet. Oh, God. Do you feel you're playing with fire sometimes?
No.
What do you do for protection? And I'm not talking about,
Nah.
Yeah.
well, we put on our psychic condoms, per se. We surround ourselves with golden protective light. So.
Do you hold hands and say a prayer of protection or something like that before you enter? No, something like... Is it an individual thing?
An individual thing, yeah. So it's basically the same sort of thing you would use before going into meditation or hypnosis. You visualize a light surrounding you, and nothing negative can penetrate this light. So
I see.
Hey,
yeah, Scott.
I was going to say, the closest thing we got to dark was this one. I want to show you guys this. It was interesting. This was in March. I think we invited you to this one, but you had a conflict. It was one of the ones we wanted to get you out on. It was in
I
Sippo.
remember. That's right.
And you had a conflict that weekend?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely
and so
correct.
This one was one of the darker, so it's probably a good thing you didn't end up coming because it was one of the darker ones. I'm going to play this in a sec. So the background here was the owners were giving us sort of a tour of the theater where they said activity was. We went into an elevator, and the elevator just... Yeah, elevator just stopped. And you hear in the clip I'm about to play, bang.
Ooh.
And then you hear the lady, the owner, she said, "Isn't that funny? This never happens." And then as soon as she stops, you hear a creepy voice. All it says is, "Get out."
You see, and right there I would have heeded the call and got the heck out.
So let me play this one for you guys.
Thanks,
Scott. Hear the elevator. You'll hear everything. It's very, very interesting. Actually, hold on. Let me just cue this up.
Okay, no problem. Folks, get ready to be creeped out. Scott has been kind enough to get all kinds of EVPs together of ghosts from the other side, and he's playing them tonight. I'm with Scott Macdonald tonight, folks, and Jason Macdonald. They're part of a ghost hunting team out of the Peterborough/Ottawa area in Ontario, Canada. They've gone around to various places in the area, and we're talking about some of the ghosts that they've encountered and come across. And I don't know about you folks, but I'm creeped out. I'm looking outside right now, and I know we had a blood moon last night that I couldn't see because, again, it was foggy out last night, and the same fog has returned today. And it really does resemble the Exorcist shot from outside, coupled with the fact that we have all these old limestone houses. Picture London, England at the turn of the century, Jack the Ripper, that type of scenario. Are you okay to go, Scott?
Yeah, it's just queuing up.
Okay. www.nightfrightshow.com, www.nightfrightshow.com. Go there for a wealth of archives, folks. And our first show together, Scott and I's first show together, is there. You're going to find all kinds of shows. I just mentioned Christine Corda. Her show is there as well. Michelle Desrochers from Canada's Most Haunted. Her show is there as well. All kinds of things there, UFOs, Bigfoot. Nobody covers JFK like Night Fright. And very proud of that. Very, very proud of that. Getting the word out there. And letting folks decide for themselves and bringing new ideas forward. That's what the show's all about. And we're doing that tonight. I hope you're as entertained as I am and as creeped out as I am. If you're ever contemplating on going on a ghost hunt, now you'll know what to expect.
So here we go. This is You'll hear Jason introduce the hunt a little bit. It'll break into the elevator one where you'll hear the owner say, "That never happens." The elevator will stop, and then you'll hear the entity say, "Get out."
Things disappearing, people feeling that they're not alone on the stage. We're going to look into all of these claims and hopefully we find some good evidence. Over here I heard somebody whisper to me, "It's over here." So I heard something right here in this corner. Downstairs we got an immediate readings off over at the radar. It said delay. And then, but no, we said we had to get set up and it said yes. And then it said something about laying and we also got this weird electromagnetic frequencies down there that spikes for no reason. So that'll be another spot we want to do some movie section. Did you hear that crick? Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up. Here's the get out. It's coming up.
I've never seen this before. Yeah.
You hear that, eh?
Oh my God, it is very, very clear and very distinct. Now, they say it takes a lot of energy for these entities to make that type of sound. Would you concur?
Yes. And
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why a lot of people say, why are EVPs only 1 or 2 or 3 words? Well, that's exactly why.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah, and how come you didn't leave? I laugh when I say that because I can't, I mean, as I just related, I'm the biggest sissy in the world, folks. I heard this thing on my own tape. It said hello, and it was just a hello. It wasn't like I'm going to kill you or get out. And this thing says get out, and you stayed.
Yeah.
Okay, then. My goodness me. Jason, you heard that one in real time, too?
Oh, yeah.
And do you ever hold back from telling the group what you've just heard, to try and protect them and not scare the bejesus out of them, as I am right now?
Sometimes.
You hear that, eh, Scott? He's protecting you because he loves his big brother. Who decides what questions to ask the entities, the ghosts?
We both do, but Jason sort of takes the lead on it.
Is it kind of a gut feeling, Jason, which direction to take each one? I guess they're as individual as people are they?
Oh, for sure. And we have different questions we like to ask every time, too. We always like to ask what year it is for them because it gives us kind of time frame of when they died. We like to ask if they're male or female, standard questions. Mm-hmm. So, and then sometimes I'll get mental images in my head which are relevant to question. We were doing another case in Elmont, and I got a picture of a baseball glove and a baseball mitt, and I said, "Baseball, does this mean anything to you?" And then the entity says, "I'm learning this game," and which was pretty cool. And I'm sure Scott could cue that one up for us if we could.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture right now, folks, from the MIA website, which you'll be able to get at www.nightfrightshow.com, of Jason sitting on a chair, and it says, Jason Macdonald of MIA Paranormal tries to contact spirits inside Simcoe's Little Theater's Talbot Street building on Saturday with SLT member Melinda Campbell. Now, you know the picture I'm referring to, I'm sure, Jason.
I do.
What, it says you're trying to contact them. What is the process that you have to put yourself through in order to allow yourself to be open to receive?
I just try to open my mind and put positive energy out there. And usually, we haven't had too many cases at all that we haven't had made contact. So,
is it exhausting for you afterwards?
Sometimes.
Taxing on your energy?
There was one case where I tried to cross an entity over by myself, and I ended up getting quite sick. So I don't do that. Oh no, yeah, I don't do that anymore. But
any speculation as why that happened?
I think it just drew too much of my energy, and it just made me just burn right out, and I felt like death warmed over.
Right.
But
do the entities, I had a real life vampire, so the person claims, folks, on the show, and he says he's able to suck energy off of people in order to sustain himself, and he's not talking about drinking blood. Do any of the entities do something similar with you guys? Like, do they like to see you show up so they can suck some living energy off you, if you will?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I think
it's like stopping off at McDonald's for us, is it?
Yeah, if you're not careful, that could definitely happen. Like, we had one of our members, well, he's not really a member as much anymore, but he had personal conflict and couldn't come out with us as much lately. But when he first started coming with us, he got really drained. And at the end of a hunt, he would just be like white as a ghost.
Wow. Folks, we're coming up to the break in about a minute and a half, but stick around. The break is only 6 minutes long. It's for station IDs and things of that nature. These guys are going to be coming back, and in the second hour, we will be taking phone calls. And an easy way to get through, folks, is Brent Holland Show via Skype. I'll accept you as a Skype contact, and I'll put you right through. You can ask or even tell your own personal stories with Scott Macdonald and Jason Macdonald, two guys that are part of MIA Paranormal research team. And they go around and they do ghost huntings. And we're relaying a lot of that tonight. And I got to tell you, it's creeping me out. Given that, what's happening outside right now with the fog and everything, it is very, very creepy, folks. Brent Holland Show. That's the Skype address, and I'll stick you right through. So coming up in the next hour, I want to get into, guys, if it's cool with you, I want to look at angelic encounters and some more of your precognitive dreams, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Okay, and if there's anything, Scott, you want to get ready for the second half in terms of EVPs, no problem at all.
There's a couple I want to play, that, like the less of the creepier type.
Okay. So the music's about to start, folks. We'll be back in 6 minutes. www.nightfrightshow.com, www.nightfrightshow.com. Brent Holland Show, Skype address. Stick around, folks. We'll be back in 6.
Yeah, there. Wow, that's creepy. No. You keep her up there, I guess, though. Hey, Lori.
And yes, folks, all those
The dog
people
just
cheering
stopped.
right now are right outside the studio window. And as I said at the beginning of the show, there's a huge, thick fog. Picture The Exorcist, and I'm not kidding here. As I look out the window right now, all I can see is this haze around what used to be a lamppost. And at the top is this dim light at this point. So I'm just waiting for all kinds of creatures to come out and start coming through the window here. Because tonight, folks, we're taking you on one heck of a special ride. This ride, folks, is a true, real ghost hunting troupe out of Peterborough, Ottawa. They're called MIA Paranormal Research Group. With us tonight is Jason Macdonald and his brother Scott Macdonald. And if you're just joining us, as I said before, get the coffee going, get the tea going. Get a beverage of your choice going, folks, and get a comforter. Trust me, and a flashlight. Just if the power goes out, I'm done for, guys, by the way. You know that, eh? Like, just 911 right away and send them over. You know, send a SWAT team or something. Creepy show tonight, folks. We're playing, Scott's playing EVPs for us, electronic voice phenomenon, of all the places that they've gone, and they found all kinds of ghosts, I don't know what else to call them, that are sticking around the places that they've gone for whatever reasons. And as I said at the end of the last hour, we're going to be looking at angelic encounters. In the next hour, we're going to be playing some more EVPs. And we're going to be looking at life between lives and all kinds of different aspects of that. But right now, we have a phone call all the way from Nevada, and I'd like to welcome Angela. Angela, are you there? Bill, are you there? And they're not there, so we're going to go back to Scott then, and Jason right away. Jason, can you tell me a little bit about angelic encounters?
Sure, Brent. This happened to me probably in 2010. It was around the time my grandfather passed away, and he lived in Ottawa, and we got back probably 2, maybe 3 times a year, and we visited. I was very close with my grandfather, so I was feeling...
Jason, let me ask you this. Does this run in your family? Because very often it does. And was your grandfather, like you, a sensitive? I don't know what else to classify it as.
Nobody in my family has told me that we have, although my grandmother would talk about the one crazy aunt, so maybe she had some sort of sensitive gift. So,
okay, back to your grandfather. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, not at all. Anyway, I was feeling a lot of regret, and I was feeling that, I should have gotten to Ottawa more to visit, and I work in a retail store, the Giant Tiger. And so I was out working on the sales floor, stocking the shelves and whatnot. And I was approached by a 72-year-old man, and he came up to me, looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Hello, my name is Evan, and I'm from up north of Quebec." And I said, "Hello." And he goes, "Life's too short for regret." He goes, "You're a good person, I can tell." And he goes, "This is my wife, Mary." And she came over, and they had the bluest eyes, and it's hard to explain. And he wore like an open V-neck shirt, and it was one of those cotton shirts that you'd see Jesus wear, right? Mm-hmm. And he went on to talk to me about the eternal validity of the soul and how we are here to learn lessons, and he could tell that I was a good person. And we talked for about 10, 15 minutes. Because I'm knowledgeable on this stuff, I was able to hold my own with him. And at the end of the conversation, he gave me a wink and says, "I'm going to look you up in your next lifetime." And then he said they started to walk away. So I went into the back room and I told one of my colleagues about it, because I talked to her about all of this type of stuff. And she immediately wanted to go and see who these two were. probably less than 2 minutes, we went back onto the sales floor, and there was no sign of these people in the store whatsoever. None of the other sales associates saw two elderly people walking in the store at all. So I believe that I had an angelic encounter who wanted to let me know that, you know what, life's too short for regret, and just you should live life without regret. That's basically my angelic encounter. So,
You know, I have to wonder if perhaps your grandfather sent them on his behalf.
you know, I wondered that as well. So I bet you he did.
I have the story too. That
Please, Scott. Yeah.
Forgets. So when we were quite a bit younger, probably early 1990s, and our grandfather died. I guess it was 91 or thereabouts, and it was about 93. So we were, young 20s, and we went up to the family cottage, and we were.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a second, guys. I'm reaching for the studio light because I know when you say good, it means very bad.
Oh, no, it's good. It's good.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead,
this is
guys.
good. It's not scary. I'm going to get into the scary stuff in a bit, but this one, we were partying, having probably as Canadian boys too much beer. It was winter time. Mm-hmm. We had the fire blaring in the fireplace, and then we fallen asleep. Everybody was passed out and so forth, and it was about 3 a.m. And Jason said he got shook and wake up. He heard wake up, and he was getting shaken, and he woke up, and there was nobody there, and nobody was there at all, and all of a sudden he gets up and finds the fireplace. The pipes are red hot, like about a minute from exploding and putting the whole place on fire. So we think that was our grandfather who woke him up to warn him that either get up or you're going to die.
Wow. And you concur with that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I immediately I got up and I shut down the baffles and shut the fire down immediately, and the pipes eventually cooled down. But to this day, it had to be my grandfather waking me up and saying, you know what, pay attention, what's going on, because he loved that cottage and he would never want us to harm it. So
I suspect he probably loved you guys a lot too, more than the cottage.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Listen, we've got a caller. Angela, are you there from Nevada? Angela, are you there?
Yeah, Brent.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Fine. I lost you about 3 minutes ago. I don't know what happened. So
well, it could be the ghosts in the machinery, and that's a pun for tonight.
Yeah. I just came on. I'm sorry I missed the first half of the show, but I understand what it's about. I think, Brent, Angela, I told you the story once before. I'll relay it to your guests. With regards, we were driving from.
Tell them this, and we'll see what they think.
Yeah, we were driving from Los Angeles to Palm Springs one night, and it was 10, 11 o'clock at night. There was a lot of road work that they were doing, and we were off the freeway basically on a dirt road, and all of a sudden a jalopy like a 1935 to maybe 1940 type of jalopy pulled in front of us. It had one of those jump seats where in the trunk, where if you open it up, you could sit in the seat. It was one of those old that type of car, and it proceeded in front of us for about 5 seconds, and then it just disappeared. And I looked at Angela. I said, "Did you just see that car disappear?" She said, "Did you see?" And we both saw it. And so when people talk about apparitions and this and that, unless you've seen something, it's sometimes hard to believe people. But I've seen this, so I these things do exist. And what I wanted to ask your guests is, have they ever been to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania? Because that's one of the hot spots of apparitions in the country.
Well, let me. I haven't been there, but I've been to Tombstone, and I'm going to play a clip we got in Tombstone. As a matter of fact, I just sent you, Brent, a picture that we got there, and I'm going to provide a bit of background on that. But no, we were supposed to go there, and we were probably lining that up in the next 12 months or so. And that's one of the places in the U.S. that we really want to go and visit.
That absolutely, folks, and I'm looking right now at a link, and of course, you know, you'll be able to find all these links on the www.nightfrightshow.com website, and it'll take you right to MIA's, the investigation team we're talking with tonight, website. And there's a picture here, picture Tombstone. Remember the movie Tombstone, Wyatt Earp, and all those guys, of an old dresser. And the dresser, of course, has a mirror. It's full of dust. It looks like it hasn't been touched since the 1870s, 1880s. But it has a mirror. And by God, if you look in the mirror, you're going to see a woman's face. Holy jeez.
And then look at below. The picture is of who that woman is, and that's an old Tombstone hooker, I guess they called it, them Women of the Night. And it's exact replica. You can see the mirror and the picture of the lady below that, and it's an exact match. Look at the eyes, and look at the lips, look at the nose even.
All right, I'm going to go out on the limb here, and I had mentioned before, folks, when people die, they go back to a place where they had a really good time. I'm suspecting she's still having a really good time then. And I'll let it go at that. That is fascinating. Can you play the EVP from Tombstone then?
Yes, I will. So I think this EVP was in the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, and that was featured on Wyatt Earp, and
La Casual Fall.
The Casual Fall.
The Birdcage.
The Birdcage, yeah.
Yes, and that's the first time I heard of the Birdcage, watching Tombstone with Kurt Russell. But anyways, this is the EVP that came from there. Let me just cue it up.
Okay. Folks, we're speaking with Scott and Jason Macdonald. On the phone from Nevada are Angela Black and Blackwell and Bill Blackwell. And
Yes, sir. Brad, I had another question for your guest. So,
sure. We'll field this one to Jason while Scott's queuing up that EVP.
Yeah, since they're from Nevada, which I didn't know because we missed the first half. But have they been to the Amarosa?
I think we lost that. But we'll ask him in a second. I think he's going to play the EVP. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah, here it is. So this is in Tombstone at the Birdcage. All this one says is, yeah, it acknowledges my question. I think I asked it, did you die here? This is Tombstone. Is this your home? Did you die here? This is Tombstone. Is this your home? Did you die here? This is Tombstone. Is this your home? Did you die here? Isn't that wild? So that's the same place where we got that picture with the lady in the mirror.
Now, is this your home? What home were you in at that point? Was this a hotel, I suspect, if she was a lady of the evening, if you will?
I suspect that, yeah. So the Birdcage was like one of the, did you ever see that movie with Kurt Russell and...
Sure. Yeah, and I also saw the Kevin Costner one, too.
Yeah.
And they all, there's a whole bunch of them. But, yeah, absolutely.
It was the one where the gang's in there, and they're playing on stage, and they're shooting in the bullet holes, and they're shooting all around, and everybody's partying and drinking. Well, that's where we got the EVP, and it's exactly the same building as it was back then.
Wow. Any speculation as to what ghost you got? Right away everybody's going to say, it's got to be Doc...
Doc Hollywood.
Yeah, Doc Hollywood, Doc Holiday, right? But who knows, right? Because
who knows? Yeah. Probably so many entities there. It's you couldn't even start to count.
Well, let's hope, as I said before, let's hope everybody's having a good time, quote unquote. Bill, you had a question you wanted to ask Jason.
Yes. Have they been to the Omarosa Opera House, which is northeast of Las Vegas, in the on the California side, which is out in the middle of nowhere? But it was a mining town. I think they excavated salt there at one point in time, but there's an opera house there and a hotel, and they actually will not let you go into the they won't let you go into the dilapidated portion of the hotel because of all the apparitions that have been seen. Are they familiar with this place?
Yes, I've heard about it. I was in Las Vegas on business, and somebody was mentioning to me about that. It was just over a year ago. And there's many places down in Nevada, Utah, Arizona that we want to check out.
Folks, if you want to join in and ask some questions or perhaps even share a personal story, easy way to do that, Brent Holland Show via Skype. I'll accept you as a contact, and I'll put you right through. You can ask your questions, as I said, or share a story that you may have, a personal story. Brent Holland Show, B-R-E-N-T, B-R-E-N-T-H-O-L-L-A-N-D-S-H-O-W on Skype. And it's in Kingston, Canada, by the way, folks, in case you come across multiple Brent Hollands. And if you do, just don't tell me about them. I mean, I've heard about doppelgangers. I don't need to see one. I'd like to talk a little bit about the old Coburg jail. Now, you know, there seems to be an unprecedented amount of activity wherever there seems to be a lot of negative energy. I'm thinking hospitals, psychiatric places, old abandoned jails like the Coburg jail. Could you tell us a little bit about that one, Scott?
Yes, we were just there last Halloween, as a matter of fact, and that was an interesting one. So the jail had actually ran a promotion, and we were there, and so they actually sold tickets, and it all went to raise for charity, and they could accompany us and watch us do a real ghost hunt.
Oh, that's a nice thing to do, guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it raised quite a bit of money for the local food bank, I believe, and or hospital.
Way to go.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just sent you a link, Brent. You've got to see.
Looking at it right now.
So the story here is the girl in the black. She's not on our team. The one with the blonde hair is on our team. That's Bethany.
Okay.
But the girl with the black, she was a guest, and she was feeling energy in her hand, and we took multiple shots.
Oh, my God, I see the picture now. I'll describe it in a second. Go ahead, Scott.
You don't see any entity, and then you see coming down out of the air an orb, and then the next one, it's in her hand, and then the final one is a close-up. And Brent, why don't you tell, like, the close-up? Describe to the audience what you're seeing. Like, what that orb looks like.
Well, I'm thinking of getting some holy water or something and blessing my computer after looking at this thing. This actually, it's a circle, folks. You've seen orbs before, but it seems to be emanating an aura, if you will, this particular orb. Now, the orb is quite large, which surprises me because the orbs I've ever seen, I guess they weren't real orbs, have been maybe 1 or 2 inches in diameter. This seems to be quite larger than that. I would say maybe half the size of her hand. And that's what's freaking me out. It appears to be a living type of entity. It's almost like it's breathing, and this is from a still picture.
Yeah. And
this is incredible. And this is a young girl, folks. I don't know how old she would be, 21, 22. Okay. She's got a black leather jacket on just to stay warm. She's in jeans, and she's attractive for sure. Any idea why it would gravitate towards her? Is that because she's holding her hand out? She's cupping her hand, folks, by the way, and this orb looks like it's about to land right in her hand. It's hovering, I would say, 1 or 2 inches above her hand.
I don't know. Here's
we got a DVP, actually, Brent, related to the orb. When Ashley felt the cold spot on her hand, we asked, why are you going to Ashley? And we got, she's pretty. I like Ashley or something along with that. So it found her attractive, like you said. So
interesting.
Yep.
And then we picked up an EVP just shortly after this picture was taken. Everybody's chatting, but you heard it say, "I gotta go," and it left her hand. But it was on her hand. She felt it pinned down, and then you heard in the room. Everybody heard it in real time, and nobody said it. It said, "I gotta go." Let me cue that up.
Besides feeling the cold spot on her hand from this orb that's hovering just over her cupped hand, folks, just to try and give you a visual, 2 or 3 inches, Did she feel anything? Did she feel drained like you have done before? Like what has happened to you, Jason?
No, everyone in the room felt a weight, like there was like a pressure, and almost like after it said it gotta go, that pressure left. So it was definitely something trying to manifest a voice, or trying to manifest itself. So you felt the different pressure in the air.
When you come up with clear evidence, as is, I was going to say, evident on your website, do you do research afterwards? Do you do research before to find out what type of deaths have taken place at that particular building, who lived there, that type of thing?
One of our newest members, Joe, he does a lot of digging in the archives and such, and he'll go and collaborate names that we catch, or beforehand he'll try to get some names that we should use in our EVP questionings, and he's found a lot of names that we got in the Coburg jail. Jack was one of the people that perished in the Coburg jail that we got some responses from the Ghost Box and EVP, so it was interesting.
That is really interesting. Now, is there any idea, the Coburg jail, I think of the Kingston Penitentiary because I'm from Kingston. And folks, for those of you that are unaware, the Kingston Penitentiary it just closed this year finally. It was made in 1830, I believe, is the oldest maximum security jail in Canada, and it housed all the worst of the worst. And I only found this out by moving here and doing a little research, it never had capital punishment at that jail. It was strictly a storage facility. And even though it held all our worst serial killers, rapists, and murderers, it never had any capital punishment happening. That doesn't mean to say it's not the most haunted place in the world. But when you're, as I said, you're doing this research, was there anything at the Coburg jail that would lend you to believe that perhaps somebody may have been killed that may have been innocent?
We got some voices of a younger girl upstairs that we think may have perished in probably to this Jack fella. So.
Oh, so that's the connection. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any malevolent feelings, Jason?
Definitely in the attic of the place there was something dark, and we got Joe was actually in a little room by himself, and we had the whole group up there, and everyone went downstairs, and he was in this little crawl space, and he had his ghost box going, and you could hear the entities talking back and forth on the ghost box, and it said, "Ice 'em." So
you've got to tell the folks what a ghost box is.
Okay. A ghost box is a little, it's basically almost like a radio that scans through the AM and FM frequencies, and I guess they manipulate the frequencies and form sentences and voices, and they do sweeps. So it takes little bits of pieces of radio frequencies and forms sentences and whatnot. So people that are not as lucky as me can hear things live and interact live with the entities.
Now, Jason, you say not as lucky as me. Has this been a curse for you?
Oh,
or
no.
Is this a gift?
I find it a gift. I don't feel cursed at all, so.
Okay, it's not like an intrusion. I had Uri Geller on the show, and of course he's clairvoyant and stuff, and I say, Uri, do you ever get fed up with the voices in your head? No pun intended again, folks. I was being serious. And he said, no, he says he sees it as a gift from God, so it's very, very interesting. Folks, our guests tonight, Scott Macdonald and Jason Macdonald, they're from a Canadian ghost hunting paranormal research group called MIA, and of course www.nightfrightshow.com. That information will be there for you to click on and go right to their site where you can see and hear much of the material we've been looking at tonight, probably all of it. I got to ask you now, when you go to a place like, let's say, the Watson Mill or something like that, now, imagine yourself walking in, and all of a sudden, Jason, you hear very clearly, I want you to speculate now what you would do if you have a plan. I'm the devil, what would you do, buddy? Because I know what I'd do. I wouldn't be there in the first place, but I'm just asking you what you would do.
Well, first of all, I would shield up. I would increase my shielding, and we would try to catch some evidence of this devil.
Really? You would stick around? You would?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Scott says, oh, yeah, right away.
Scott wants us to find some dark, demonic stuff, but anyway. We'll see what
are
happens.
you not afraid, and I've asked Scott this before in our last show, are you not afraid this thing is going to attach to you somehow? And
No.
Bring it up? No.
No.
Really? Huh.
No.
Okay. This is one of the things that Michelle Desrochers was telling me. She said, these things can attach very easily and just walk away with you, and then all of a sudden you've got somebody else living in the house that's not paying rent. Okay. Do you ever get frantic phone calls from people that say, I've got this entity or something's here, something's wrong. Can you come and help us out?
We've gotten a couple of private residents that's wanted us answers to
Are
what...
you allowed to tell us some of those stories without giving away location and names?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
They're more or less wanting evidence to say that they're not crazy, that they hear bumps in the night and they hear things moving, and they want to know that it's something they're just not crazy, So we go in and we capture voices and capture the evidence and show them, and we ask them if they want us to help it move along, and 9 times out of 10 they're like, no, we're comfortable with it now. I mean, we just wanted to make sure we weren't crazy. So unless the entity's asking for help to be moved on, we just leave it as it is. So
Okay, now I know you guys are in the Peterborough/Ottawa area. I'm broadcasting out of a place, folks, called Kingston, Ontario. Just Google it, but I'll give you a quick reference. It's on Lake Ontario, where Lake Ontario, in the east side of Lake Ontario, meets the St. Lawrence River. They call it the Thousand Islands because there's 1,000 islands there. But an island, just to let you know, folks, the criteria for an island, it has to have green on it. So you can have an island 2 inches thick, and they call it an island. So you can actually own your own island if you want. All that to say, folks, is it's an hour and a half north of Syracuse in New York. And it's nestled right on this highway that stretches from Montreal in the east all the way to Toronto in the west. And it's called the 401. That's the number to the highway. It is the busiest highway in North America. Yeah, I was surprised too. 500,000 vehicles every day. I was shocked, absolutely shocked to learn this, but it is in fact a fact. And it's snuggled perfectly in between the two. And there are several buildings here that I've always been interested in investigating. Have you ever been in the Kingston proper area doing any investigations you could share with the folks that are listening?
Not yet, but we're in the works to come to Old Fort Henry. So.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Okay, now Old Fort Henry, of course, there's the word old. Made out of limestone. Again, it was built just after the War of 1812, and it never saw battle. But every year they have something on Halloween called Fort Fright, where they do the fort up, and you can take the kids through. It's very safe. But there's supposed to be a lot of entities there. The other place I would love to go with you guys is that penitentiary, the Kingston Penitentiary, maximum security penitentiary. I'll tell you why. I can't give any names, but a security guard who works there, a jail guard, said that he received on his desk a request from an inmate to be moved. And it's the cat, folks, don't worry. To be moved, and it scared the hell out of me, let me tell you. Stupid cat. To be moved to another cell because his cell was haunted. So he didn't ask any questions. He just signed it and let it go. There's got to be 1,000 million of these stories. I mean, the bad energy that must be oozing and has been kept in these solid limestone walls. People tell me, maybe you could validate this for me. people tell me that there's something about limestone that holds negative energy. Is there any truth to that you guys may know of?
Oh, yes, for sure. It's like a battery cell. It holds energy, right? And it just definitely would replay itself. And that would be a lot of residual stuff that would happen, right? So you've got to think a penitentiary that has all of these people thinking about the evil things that they did to be in there. They're going to be creating their own hell there. And they'll probably be reliving it many years past their own death. So.
Now, I think Scott was telling me this last time too, Scott, when we were talking. Basically, if you're a nasty person when you're alive, you're going to be a son of a gun when you're dead.
Yep.
That's true, is it?
Yeah.
So the personality doesn't change at all and nothing of that sort.
That's right. And, I mean, if you stay on the Earth plane, that's the theory. If you cross over to the light, there's other sort of thoughts along that where people say that when you cross through the light, you go through a healing mechanism in the process that sort of helps heal the soul from all that negativity. So there's some school of thought that thinks when you pass into the light, you can be redeemed in some fashion. However, if you don't choose to pass and you choose to stay on the Earth plane, yes, you can absolutely still harbor those nasty intentions.
Okay. Is it too soon, and I'm going to ask you, would you ever go to Ground Zero in New York, 9/11? Would you ever go to where the Twin Towers stood and do a ghost hunting from there? Would that be appropriate? Is it too soon still?
It's a good question. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. What do you think, Jason?
Maybe. Personally, I would like to try, but I don't know if it would be too soon, right? So,
yeah. I'm thinking the place in the U.S. we want to get to is like one of the callers was asking us about, Gettysburg and those Civil War battlefields. We are definitely eyeing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, when horrible things happen so quickly. Like, I often wonder, today's the 102nd anniversary of the Titanic, folks, by the way. And if you go to the www.nightfrightshow.com, you're going to find a show there with Dr. James Delgado, who dove with James Cameron on the movie Titanic, and he mapped out the Titanic, and there's a little vignette there. I was on the local CBC station, CKWS, today, talking about that. Now, I can imagine, even though it's just open water, if you dive down to the Titanic, he was telling me, Dr. James Delgado was telling me that he saw the bodies there. Now, not the physical bodies, that's not what I meant, but where they died, because the bones, even the bones are gone at this point, folks, because they would just disintegrate because of the water, the calcium in the water apparently just, it needs it, so it draws it and the bones disappear. But he said you'll be going along the deck and you'll see where somebody has died because there'll be two shoes right beside each other and somebody's pants that have fallen down on top of them, or a jacket or something along that line. I've seen the photos, and it's very evident that somebody had died in that particular spot and various places as well. I suspect, even though there's water, if you're in that general area, I'm thinking a sensitive like Jason would probably pick up some kind of vibe. Would you guys be interested in going to a place like that?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Would you try to help them out and send them on their way?
Definitely.
Yeah. There's actually a video. If you go to our site, you can see this, and it's kind of interesting. And
sure, go ahead.
Videos where it's a video, so I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to describe it. Where Jason and Mike do cross over somebody from a house, a private residence in Lakefield, and that's just outside of Peterborough. And you can actually see, and it's quite funny, we say, picture the light and go to the light. And just as we say that on our video, our flashlight starts going crazy. It starts flickering like really, really hard. And Jason's, well, I don't mean that light.
I'm laughing. I guess it's not funny, but, that is a funny scenario. That should be in a movie. Dan Aykroyd lives in the area, right? And you should tell him for his next Ghostbusters 3 or whatever he's made.
I just thought that was funny because that was, as they were trying to help him, that was a really good confirmation that it was interacting with us. Another good, and I want to play this other clip, and it's not a scary one.
Okay.
It's just it's a really good clip from an interaction of a nice spirit. And what's happened here is it's an old farmhouse, Brent. And the owners called us in, and they were saying there's a lot of activity in this old barn. And Jason is interacting with it, and he said, there's lots of things in here you can move and bang, and I want to thank you for your participation and your interaction with us. And I'm going to play what the response was. It was very, very clear, and it's very cool. I want to cue this up.
Okay, folks, Scott Macdonald, Jason Macdonald, MIA Paranormal Research Group. Easy way to get to their coordinates, www.nightfrightshow.com. Just click on tonight's guest link. As always, that'll take you right to their website in this particular case. Yes, please.
Yeah, but when this is over with, I've got a couple of questions. I didn't want to butt in, so when they've done this, bring me in.
Oh, okay. Scott, do you want to play it now, or do you want to field a question?
Yeah, it's ready.
Okay, go ahead. We'll do the question after.
Here you can move and bang to give us a clear sign. I thank you for all of your participation so far this evening.
Says you're welcome.
Oh, buddy. You got it. You nailed it. You're welcome. Wow. At least you were polite. It's better to get out of here. Or I'm the devil, you know.
There was a few in that one, and another one that we got from the same place. It was it actually told that the husband is saying something, and we picked up a really clear EVP, and as he was saying something, it said, "Sit down and shut up."
Ooh. Are you going to play that one? Or?
Yeah, cue that one up.
Okay. I'm just wondering, Jason, do any of them ever say, "Help me"?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Oh, God, I'd just die if they... Well, I wouldn't... The wrong thing to say in a show like this, but how do you handle that?
No, we try to help them cross over into the light when they ask for help. That's one of the things that we tell the homeowners when we go in, and resident, like if we're into a famous building, if they ask us for help, we will cross them over. So I'm not going to leave somebody there asking for help stuck. So
okay, well, that's good to know. That's really good to know. A further question along those lines, and I tried this myself. The White House is apparently the most haunted building in the United States, so its legend goes. So I was curious, maybe you would know something. I even tried our local MP here, Ted Shue, who's the liberal guy, and I guess he thought, oh, here's a lunatic, you know, for ghost stories from the Parliament buildings in Ottawa. Do you know of any?
I don't, but I'm sure there has to be.
I would think.
Especially with the fires there that they had,
yes,
right?
Precisely. And all that history, you know. Maybe Sir John A.'s walking around. Who knows, right?
Hey, I'll try to get in there. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Sir John A. Macdonald, folks, is the founding father. He's our George Washington. He's actually buried, a stone's throw from where I sit. And he better not come walking through this fog outside. That's all I got to say. If I see this little guy, you know, with a flat... He was a big drunkard, by the way, folks. He's a Scottish guy. But, man, what a guy to build a country.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, what a visionary. Unbelievable. Chutzpah is the word. And, by the way, for everybody listening that's celebrating, happy Pesach. I hope everybody's having a safe Pesach and enjoying... the family that's around. I hope so. Okay, Scott. Much ado about. There we go.
So this is the same investigation from the one in the old farmhouse where we said you're welcome. So we suspect that there was multiple entities, and this was another one. It was kind of mean, and it was directing it to the husband who just said something. And this was during our tour, but we were every time we investigate, we always have tapes running. So this is sit down and shut up. You hear that?
Absolutely. Sit down and shut up. It almost sounds like there's a growl at the beginning of it, too. Like they're really like, sit down and shut up, something like that. You know?
And that's a really good, I don't know if you heard it, but that's a really good observation. A lot of times when you hear EVPs, you get a break in the atmosphere, like almost like a snap, and it's almost like something electronic is shut off. And we definitely heard that there. When I was playing the elevator one, you definitely heard another one. So it's like almost like a shockwave going through the air.
Maybe
I think they're drawing the energy to form their voice, right? And you're hearing that.
Yeah, that's really good. I never thought of that, Jason. See, folks, you listen to Night Fright, you think you know it all, and then somebody comes along like a Jason Macdonald or a Scott Macdonald, and you realize you know nothing. Let's go to Bill. Bill's got a question, and he's been waiting to ask for a few minutes now.
Yeah, hey, Brent. Thanks for bringing me in. Scott or Jason, number one, you mentioned the Colbert Jail. Where's the Colbert Jail? I don't know where this is.
It's a little town between Kingston and Toronto, Ontario. It's on Lake Ontario, so it's halfway between Kingston and Toronto. So it's a little tiny town, about an hour east of Toronto.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know where it was. So my second question is are you guys familiar with Goldmine, Nevada, the Goldmine Hotel, which has a lot of apparitions going on?
Yes, I've seen and heard stuff on that show. So you know, I'm a fan of these different TV shows as well, like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, and so forth. And I watch a lot of clips on YouTube as well. I've seen a lot of material from there. That's a place I'd love to get in on and do our own investigation.
Now we live up here in South Lake Tahoe. We're 12 miles away from a town called Genoa, which was the oldest town, the settlement in Nevada. And Angela and I went down there. We had a ghost tour there, and there's a lot of apparition stuff that's going on in that town. Have you ever heard of Genoa?
Yes, I have. I'm not too sure where it is, but yes, in our research, I've heard of that.
Yeah,
so we're about an hour from Reno, you know, that area.
Yeah, it's just south. It's just south of Reno, in the foothills, just below Lake Tahoe. So,
but the one that I always freak out about is we used to live on the coast of Santa Monica, California, and there was this where was that, Venice or something?
Yes, Venice.
There's this hotel, that high-end hotel restaurant thing.
It was a high-end hotel, but it used to be a hospital.
It used to be a mental hospital. And Bill used to always try to drag me in there, and I'm like, honey, there's no way I'm going in there, because I could feel it from 300 yards away, and I'm just like, I'm very intuitive and this type of thing, and I'm not afraid of ghosts or anything like that. I ain't afraid of no ghosts, but that was not an area that I wanted to go in, and I thought, why turn this into a luxury hotel and restaurant, and why would anyone want to visit that?
Let me ask you this, Angela. What did it feel like? And Jason, when you hear her description, I'd like you to try and either validate or not validate if that's much the same way that you feel as well. Can you describe what you felt?
You're talking to me, Brent?
Yeah.
Well, we were about 300 yards away from the hotel, and I've had my regular interactions with the other side. I'm not afraid of it when it comes to me, but I'm not walking into it. At least not unless I'm getting paid.
That's funny. What does it? Is it appear as a mental image for you, Angela? Is it just?
I felt such energy coming off of it that I thought, there's no way I want to go in. And the reason I didn't go in there was not because I was afraid. It was because I did not want to go in and celebrate in some type of luxury hotel and restaurant that was turned into that from a mental hospital where there was a lot of pain going on and probably a lot of death. and I could just feel it emanating from the entire place. And I wouldn't walk near it, would I, Bill?
No, she wouldn't.
I would not walk near it.
It was like the Phantom of the Opera night.
Don't start. Do not start. Anyway, but you know, it's not that I mean, I have been in my fair share of paranormal situations, but I just didn't find the need to celebrate the awful deaths of many humans that was then turned into a luxury hotel and restaurant. You know what I mean?
It's like exploitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my feeling, and even the lights coming off were so ominous. And I mean, I love a good moment. Like, you know, I'd love to get into situations, but that one was not one for me, and I wouldn't go near it.
Well, let me put this out to Bill, and I'll put this out to
And
Jason.
he went in. Bill went in. He went in.
And how do you deal, you know, how do your wives deal with you guys? And Bill, how do you deal with your wife? You know, like, how do you guys deal with these?
Well, Brent, I just go, okay, dear, whatever you want.
Oh, you've learned well, my friend. How about you guys? You know, I don't think you're getting any flack from your wives, but are they ever afraid for your well-being?
I don't think so.
Okay. And in your case, Scott?
No.
Not at all, eh? Okay. Do they come along with you?
Yeah, my wife does sometimes.
Oh, okay. So she's kind of into it like you are then.
She's not like 100. She's always her whole life. She's always known that exists. So she's sort of, it's to her. It's not paranormal. It's just part of the normal. So she's not as taken with it as I am. And because my whole for the first 38 years of my life, I didn't believe this, and in the last 3 or 4 years, I'm just blown away.
Okay, you just sent me a great link for the Oshawa Little Theater.
That was getting back to some of our earlier conversation when you were asking about face pictures. Look at that face picture.
Holy moly. Now, folks, I got to tell you where Oshawa is. It is virtually 20 minutes, I would say, or a half an hour if you're stuck in traffic, outside eastwards of Toronto, Ontario. And I was just there, not last weekend, but the weekend before, for a horror festival. And it's not far at all. I think most of the population of Canada, to be honest with you folks, lives between Montreal and Toronto, in southern Ontario and southern Quebec as well, with good reason. I mean, the weather. Let's face it. You know, the further north you go, the colder it is, and the more adverse the weather is as well. So, okay, let's talk about some of these things that you've put great pictures up. Again, there's orbs, folks. It is a theater, red seats. I would say sits probably 500-600 people. There is a sound booth at the back, enclosed with windows, and are orbs everywhere. And I do mean everywhere. It actually looks like it's snow falling, I would say.
Where's this? Where's this, Brent?
This is a place called Oshawa, and it's called the Oshawa Little Theater, which I suspect, again, I think there was a whole crop of these theaters made right along the 401, south of the 401 highway, folks, that runs between Toronto and Montreal. As I said, it's the most populated place. This is the place where most of the people that wanted to stay loyal to the British Empire came and settled after the...
Grant?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but why is this such a hotbed of activity in this area? Anything to contribute to this? I mean, why is this such a hotbed?
Guys?
I think it's because it was one of the first places that was settled in Upper and Lower Canada back in when North America, British settled along here, and there's just ever since been a lot of activity. We think Brent, what Brent said earlier, Neil's just hits the bullseye, and the fact that people love hanging around after they pass over in places where they find comfort if they don't pass through the light. And we find that a lot of these community theaters have a lot of activity, and they're not bad. They're they're just everyday people that no longer are living, and this is one of their favorite places in life, and that's why we're finding a lot of activity in these community theaters. I just sent you another link, Brent, where you can see that face-up shot, the face really close up.
Oh, yeah. Holy moly. It looks like a skull. Wow, is that ever incredible. Folks, www.nightfrightshow.com. Click on the link there. That'll take you right to a place where you can see MIA's blog, and I encourage you all to do that. We've got 3 minutes left, folks, but I want to tell you there's an old theater here that Houdini played in, either before he went to McGill and received that fatal punch, or after he went to McGill and received that fatal punch. And that is reputed to be, it's called the Grand Theater here in Kingston. It seats about 700, 800 people. It's an old vaudeville theater that's been redone, and they have wonderful, wonderful shows there. But apparently it's very, very haunted, and some people are afraid to work in the theater alone because of, things that get moved, lights that turn on when they're not supposed to. There is another theater here that's associated with Queen's University. Now, Queen's University, folks, is kind of one of our Ivy League universities. It's like McGill University, maybe some of you have heard of. They have an old theater, was made in 1903. We just shot a film there called The Phantom of the Opera, based on the horror movie, not the musical. When the director, Anthony D.P. Mann, was alone in the theater, he saw a ghost. And he swears up and down he saw this entity just out of the corner of his eye, and as he turned, it kind of smiled and then disappeared. Now, when he told me, thank God he told me that after the shoot, because I don't think I would have gone in. Guys, what is next for you? What's next on the list? I hope you come to Kingston. If you do, call me. I'll bring my little camera down and as much holy water as I can possibly carry. But what's next for you?
Well, this year we have Pioneer Village. We'll be doing around Scugog. And then we're doing the Train Museum. I won't name where.
Is that up in Sudbury?
No. It's Eastern Ontario. I haven't confirmed things totally yet. So, and then we have an old pub in Kempville we're doing. And there's a couple private residences that we're trying to get a hold of, and we're working out a date for Old Fort Henry, and we might be returning to Cornwall Jail.
Whoa.
So,
well, go ahead, Angela, please.
Oh no, it's Scott. I just sent you a link. I just sent you a link. So we want to also break into other realms, and one of the things that caught my attention is the link I just sent you, the last one.
Black Eyed Kids?
Yes.
Black Eyed. Oh my God, what is that, Scott? Real quick, because we've only got about 30 seconds left.
I'm not sure, to tell you the point. We don't know if it's demonic entities. We don't know if it's, but we suspect it's along the lines of paranormal and comic.
Oh crap! There's the music. I want to thank Scott and Jason Macdonald for joining us. MIA Paranormal, folks. www.nightfrightshow. You can find all the coordinates right there. And of course, as always, Angela Black. You can find on Revolution Radio every day at 5 o'clock. I want to thank both Angela and Bill for coming on and helping out with the show. Always, they help make this show go. I'm Brent Holland. Gettysburg soon enough. I'd love to go to Gettysburg. Trust me, it's something I've been studying for a long time. I'm Brent Holland from Night Fright. Thank you all for joining us. See you all next week.